Welcome back to part two on how to use the color chart for emotional regulation and other ways we can use the color chart. If you didn't have a chance to watch the first video, please go back and do that because let me share my screen here. Because I went through exactly how to fill out this chart in the beginning, and that is the first thing that you're going to want to do is what do these colors mean? How do you feel? When do they happen? How do I behave? And what do I do to move towards green? So please go back and watch that video first. And once you've done that and you've spent a few weeks filling out this chart, then come back to this one because maybe my guess is if you're like my clients, you have found other uses for this color chart. And so then what we do is maybe create a new one or we just have conversations about it, but it's not about how I feel. It's no longer about when or how I behave or what I do to move toward green. Now it just becomes here it is applicable to other aspects of my life. And I'm going to share a few of my favorite ones that my clients have brought to me. So the first one is in prioritizing tasks. So let's say you have this list of tasks, maybe a jumble in your head, or you've got them all written out and it's just too much and you don't know how to decide which ones to really spend your time on. And words can be vague sometimes, like, well, this is highest priority, this is low priority, this is medium priority. Like, what does that even mean? It might be easier to assign colors to them. And you can define these colors however you want. Maybe, like, highest priority, this needs to get done immediately, might be red, or maybe it's green. I don't know, whatever works for you. But then you might have some like low fun priorities that you're like, I really want to do those, but they're low priority and those might be green because they're more fun. And then you've got this thing that you know is coming up and you need to get to it, but it's not urgent and that might have a different color. So I have seen clients be successful with using colors to identify the priority of the task so they can start to figure out where it fits into their schedule. I've also seen clients be successful in swapping out to-dos by using the color chart. So, actually, this is a completely different way to use it, which is each task has a color based on how hard it is. So it might be time intensive, or maybe it's just an annoying hard task that isn't even time intensive. I don't know. But maybe that's a red task. And then maybe you have some yellow tasks that are kind of naggy, but they're not real hard to do. They may or may not take a certain amount of time. And then you have green tasks that are like, yeah, that one's easy. I can get that one taken care of. And so you might even just identify the tasks that you have to do by the color. And then if priorities change. And so if you need to swap some out, you swap an equivalent color. So if a new green priority comes in, something that's kind of fun for me, maybe like, I don't know, planning the weekend, that's kind of fun. And so that might be green and it suddenly needs to be taken care of. I'm not going to swap it for a red. That's just avoiding a hard thing. But I can swap it for another fun, easy green task. So that's the second strategy, which is you might identify the challenge level of the task by the color. And then when you want to swap them out, you make sure that you swap for an equivalent color. That's number two. Number three, I had a client who used this to help fall asleep at night. So waking up in the middle of the night, the thoughts start to race and you get kind of swept away in those, and it's hard to turn them off. You can acknowledge that you are in a certain color. So maybe that's yellow, maybe that's orange, maybe it's red, depending upon the thoughts that are racing around in your head. Sometimes just acknowledging them, stop my share here. Sometimes just acknowledging them can quiet them, takes away a little bit of their power, brings you more to the decision-making part of your brain here in the prefrontal cortex and out of the emotional part of your brain, and you can calm yourself down to go back to sleep. So that's creative way number 3 to use the color chart. And I'm going to give you one more. And so for this one is those chores that are kind of escalating, like, I don't love them and it's sort of annoying, but I got to do it. And it escalates us, but you know that they have to be done. So for those chores that are kind of escalating and they like kind of just get your energy level up because you don't want to do them or you don't like them or they're hard and you have a tendency to avoid them, you can notice what color does that chore, that responsibility, that task, what color does it put me in? And once you've acknowledged that, then you can just ask yourself, like, is there one small tweak to the way I attack this that can bring that task closer to a green? Here's my example. Making these videos is kind of hard for me. I don't love being on camera. It's not something that I grew up doing. Okay. And then for some reason, just like figuring out what to wear and in order to be on camera is like overwhelming. And I would just avoid it because I couldn't even get started on the task by figuring out what to wear. And so I realized, just like many other people who don't want to think about what to wear. You just kind of get a uniform. So it was like, oh, I went to the store and I bought a yellow top, a white top, and a black top, and I can just kind of cycle through those. So then I just reach into the closet and pull out the one that I haven't worn recently. So just by making one aspect of that task a little bit easier, it brought down the level of energy required for me to record videos. So you can think about that with your own color chart. What are the tasks that are kind of escalating? It's hard to get rolling on them. They make you sort of elevated. And what is one minor tweak to the system, the process, the setup can you make that will bring that task closer to green? There's a few strategies for you to try to see where the color chart takes you in your life. I'm sure you're going to come up with a whole lot more, and I hope that you will share them with me when you do develop them so that I can share them with everyone else. Thank you. Good luck.